So before we get started here, raise your hand if you're you would say you're pretty knowledgeable on Kyoto Animation. Okay, we got a couple people. So I have a good feeling that a lot of you are going to be, you're going to walk out of here with some knowledge that you did not already have before coming in here, because I have done that tenfold. In the process of making this, that's the one thing that I can say for sure is that I learned so much, and I'm so more enriched as a result of having learned it, because a lot of the stuff that Kyoto Animation has done, we have been watching since a lot of us were children, and we just didn't really kind of realize it was the same people behind it until we grew up and realized that there are people behind anime, and they're not magically created. We good on there? Okay, cool. So, welcome to Best of the Best Kyoto Animation. This is a panel that I've been doing for many years, since the before times. And we today though is a special red letter day because we are filming this panel over there for my YouTube channel. Also, if you are interested in wearing some questionable graphic tees, I have a Redbubble store. If you want a shirt that says Boku no Pico Academia and try to explain to your parents what that means, then be my guest. Or my most recent one is I want Avril Lavigne to hurt me emotionally. Look, as a fan of Kyoto Animation, I kind of like to be hurt emotionally. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. It's 10:01. We can go and get started. So to start from the beginning, we have to talk about the foundations of Kyoto Animation. The creators were a married couple, Yoko and Hideaki Hata, and they basically started a revolution in the anime industry. So first we have to ask, what is Kyoto Animation? They founded in 1981 by, again, married couple Hideaki and Yoko Hata, the latter of whom was employed by Mushi Production. Mushi Pro was a studio originally owned by the Mighty Atom Astro Boy creator and father of manga, Osamu Tezuka. The nowadays Tezuka Productions is a separate entity entirely from Mushi Pro, but that's neither here nor there. Despite founding in 1981, they would not produce their own series, however, until around 20 years later. And then in 2009, more recently, in the last 11 years or so, they began what they called the Kyoto Animation Award, which honors original novels and manga that are then published by their literary label, K.A. Asuma Bunko. Some titles that you might recognize that have been published by this, I believe Violet Evergarden was one of those. Love Chunibyo and Other Illusions. I believe Cerune was also one of them. But many of the literary works under that label are then turned into anime and beloved by millions of people. So, continuing that, in the year following its founding, KyoAni established an animation department and quickly became a dependable name. In 1987, Mitsuhisa Ishikawa got KyoAni to co-produce Zillion. Ishikawa would also eventually create Production IG alongside Takayuki Goto. Production IG is responsible for Guilty Crown, Psycho-Pass, Eden of the East, Haikyuu, as well as Ghost in the Shell series as well. Hideaki Hata was one of the initial shareholders of Production IG. One of the things that I've really found interesting upon doing research for these kinds of panels is the crossover in the early anime industry, how certain studios have indelible connections to other studios, such as Kyoto Ani and Production IG. KyoAni also was responsible for over 30 episodes of Inuyasha, as well as episodes of Kitty Grade, Tenchi Universe, Nurse Witch Komugi, and Generator Gall. So what is Kyoto Animation? Again, for the third time. KyoAni is known for adapting stories that define the human experience. So whether that's through deviant behavior such as Chunibyo, or by chronicling the life of experience of someone who's disabled, there's a wide range of topics that the studio is willing to take under its wing. Unlike a lot of modern studios, however, animators who work for KyoAni are salaried employees rather than freelance. This ensures that they're able to focus on quality. You're not going to see a KyoAni work every season. but especially now. But we'll get to that. But what you do when you do see their name behind a work, you pretty much have an idea that it's going to be a certain level of quality. Especially more recently, considering that now their TV series are starting to have like cinematic qualities, and that's great. So moving on. One thing I really want to push on this panel, if you have not been to any of my panels before, I watch a lot of openings. I appreciate the openings. I personally feel like anybody who doesn't watch the openings is a heathen, but that's neither here nor there. Raise your hand if you watch the openings. Oh. I'm torn, but I'll give you a pass because sometimes I will do the same thing. But only if it's like one of those things where I'm like, I cannot wait a minute and 30 seconds to watch. Let's see what happens next. What's up? Yeah, but like more recently, I found myself especially towards the end of a series. I'm like, okay, I've seen it 11 times. I just want to get to the end. But so I feel bad after as a result because I'm like, oh, you are a hypocrite. But like, I'm mostly joking, but not really. Anyway. So moving on, basically what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about, in chronological order, the kinds of series that Kyoto Ani will have produced and the kind of thing that they are known for. So we'll watch the openings of those as long as they have one, and then or a trailer or the likes of which. Now, I have to be very clear. This panel is not a cosign for any of these series. I don't claim to have watched them all. This is a historical panel. This is just saying, hey, this was done in this year. If I've seen it, I'll offer my thoughts. If I haven't, I'm not going to. If you have questions about a particular series, comments, concerns, please raise your hand at any point during the panel. I gladly take feedback. So that is Moonto. Has anybody seen Moonto? Okay, we got one. That's more than I expected because it's one of the earliest known examples that I've found of a actual original work by Kyoto Ani. And if you notice the opening, you can see the earliest examples of like the kind of big eyes, the very anime aesthetic that they kind of have pushed forth. Like I'm not going to suggest that they were the originators of the big eyes in anime, but they definitely have a unique. You can see it throughout their entire work, from Moonto to Lucky Star to Clannad to Canon. You can see there's a very unique facial structure that they have for their characters that a lot of anime studios do not employ. This was directed by Yoshishi Kiyagami, who went on to. In 2009, Moonto actually received a 9-episode series that was also directed by Kigami. He also worked in varying capacities on Grave of the Fireflies, Akira, A Silent Voice, later on down the road, among many other works. We will find out a little later on that, unfortunately, Kigami was one of the victims of the tragic fire that we will get to in a little bit. So keep that in mind for the future. There are a couple of other names that we want to mention who also are, worth remembering. So, all of them, of course, but So, questions on Moonto? Anybody curious on seeing this one now, or based on the opening? Okay, cool. I have not watched this one. Honestly, I'm not even sure if it's available anywhere. I'm sure it's available somewhere on the internet, but I haven't dug deep enough, I guess. But yeah, it looks interesting enough. It's just one of those things where it's like I said in my panel yesterday, I have long accepted that I'm going to be on my deathbed with a full queue of anime to watch, so I just stopped trying. Oh yeah, it's one of those things. Look, we're not gonna make it out of this life alive, so why spend it watching terrible anime? Not saying this is terrible, but there's a lot of garbage out there, and you won't know it until you're done, and you're like, wow, I wasted 6 hours of my life watching that. Okay, cool. Well, I guess if you enjoy the time you spend, it's not wasted. But if you don't, there's a question that needs to be asked. Right, there's certain series, I won't name any names, but it rhymes with Punderpeg Priority, that dropped the ball in the last quarter, so, Anyway, moving on. So, that is Fullmetal Panic, Fumafu. Anyone seen this one? That makes a lot of sense because I think this is one of the earliest works from KyoAni that I had ever heard of. Again, I have not seen it. Because here's the thing. With this series, it's kind of like with Hunter x Hunter. I know that they're not going to, as far as I'm aware, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. But did they ever actually finish Full Metal Panic? And will they? Probably not. Let's be real. Yes. Well, Invisible Victory came out in 2017, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. And this is actually interesting work to talk about because KyoAni did not do the original Full Metal Panic. That was Studio Zebek, I want to say. No, it was Gonzo. Sorry, that was Gonzo. But Zebek took it from KyoAni and did Invisible Victory. But KyoAni did Full Metal Panic and Mafu, and they also did the second raid. I believe both were directed by Yasuhiro Takamoto, another very important name we need to remember. He is a name that will come up in the future. He served as a director for works such as the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, the short OVA series that was a spin-off of Haruhi, and Lucky Star from episode 5 onwards. But again, we will get there. We're only in 2003. We still have a long way to go. And who here has seen Air? Okay, that's a fair amount. This is the first of the trifecta of key collaborations that the Kyoto Ani did. Unfortunately, they have not done a key collaboration since Clannad After Story. We will get to that in a second. But there is I say trifecta. Really, there's 4 if you count After Story. But I count Clannad and After Story as 2 halves of the same whole, so that's neither here nor there. But this was directed by Tatsuya Ishihara, another major player at KyoAni, as he directed all 3 of the key KyoAni collaborations. And he took over for Takamoto as series director of Miss Kabayashi's Dragon Maid following the latter's death in 2019. So, Ishihara seems like a pretty upstanding dude based on the fact that he was, he kept the train running when there was really no other options. So this was 2005. So we are slowly but surely trickling our way up to the present. But we still have quite a bit to go. So next up, certain titles I'm not going to show the opening for because we've already seen a little bit of it earlier. But we do have Full Metal Panic, the second raid. I cannot talk. In 2005, directed by Takamoto. This was the second Full Metal Panic series that was developed by KyoAni. The last one as well, as the next series would not be for another 12 years, and would be done by Studio Zebek. What is this? A series that Pixcelation's actually seen? What a miracle! No, this is Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Anyone seen this one? Oh, I hope so. Haruhi was the template, or the early to mid 2000s template for the traditional e-girl scene. Haruhi was like the idol for a bunch of the teenage dream for weebs, basically. Tatsuya Ishihara again directed this one. And it was based on the light novels by Nagaru Tanigawa. I personally feel like this is a series that really did not get the respect it deserved. Not on behalf of KyoAni necessarily, but because I know that there's more decisions that need to go into whether or not you're going to make more of a series, beyond just the studio saying they want to make it. I feel like with the fact that I guess technically I'm not even remember the exact timing of it, but I know that this appearance of Haruhi Suzumiya was the movie, and I think it was, maybe someone can correct me, was it after or before Endless 8? Anyone know? It was after? Okay, never mind. I was going to say, if they ended the series with Endless 8 and we haven't seen anything else, that's a little bit sad to me, because as you might be aware, Endless 8 is kind of abysmal, or at least just watching the same day over and over again is just, it gets to, I've seen anime where it just feels like I'm watching the same thing over and over again, but, like Naruto's an example, but, but that being said, it's one of those things where I feel like and I think they actually either they put out recently or they're gonna put out a new novel in the series, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe we'll see a rebirth to the Haruhi Suzumiya craze. What was I gonna say? The if Bleach is gonna get a reboot, like supposedly it's getting a reboot with the continuation with the Thousand Year Blood War arc, then anything could happen in anime, and I personally just hope that we get another season of Haruhi. So yes.
Well, like, the weird thing is it's not based on documented material, because like the anime only, if I remember, only covers like not even 2 volumes.
Really?
And like there's like over 10 volumes of this stuff.
Right.
So kind of surprising.
Yeah, there's a lot of series out there, and like a friend of mine told me, my friend of mine put it the best way I know how to tell you is that a lot of anime are strictly meant to be advertisements for the light novel, and that's fine, I guess. But for those of us, I haven't read a book in like 12 years, but like, I'm struggling to make it through the first volume of A Sister's All You Need. Now, I love that series. It's just, and it's not that it's a bad first volume. It's just that like my attention span is not good, and so it's like to sit there and read a book when I could just be like, oh, lights, colors, sounds. Like I'm like I'm not gonna do that. Yes. There is. I can't remember what it's called specifically, but I know that it's in the same like naming scheme as this. It's like the. Yeah, that's it. I've been meaning to check it out because I think it's available. Like I think it might be on Funimation as well.
Yeah, they dubbed it. It's alright.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it like amazing, but like if you just go into it without like
Right.
expectations, it's a cute stuff.
So yeah, so don't go into it expecting like more Haruhi level, but like
It's not like Yoani.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out because I do want to. I've been meaning to give this a rewatch, so I might just gonna go ahead and just rewatch the entire thing because it might, I say Endless Eight was abysmal. I might have changed my mind about that if I rewatch it, but it's been 10 years since I watched it, so Actually, I don't even know if I finished it. I might have watched halfway through and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. But anyway, any other questions on Haruhi? Cool. Who here's seen Canon? Oh man, I really, really think you should go back in time and prevent that from happening. So, this guy has strength. So, okay, look, I'm just gonna put it out there. Subtle plug, I have a video where I just completely decimate this series. If you go, subtle plug, go watch my video on Canon, but I'll summarize it here. It's the prototype Clannad, okay? It's literally the plot of Canon is the plot of Clannad if they put more thought into it, or if they put like less thought into it, I guess. I watched Clannad first. I'll get to that. I love the series. I'm gonna gush about it, but just give me a second. But Canon, I watched after, and I was like, wow, this seems very similar. Okay, so I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, there are the same kind of plot elements are in it. The idea is, in my humble opinion, is that canon is what you do if you cut Clannad in half and end it. Like if you don't go and do after story. But I explain in depth how that is in the video. It's been 2 or 3 years since I made the video, so forgive me if I can't remember. Yes?
Is it canon or air where one of the girls is secretly a fox the whole time?
It's canon. Yeah, that's the whole first half of canon is, oh, there's a fox girl. Cool. Oh, wait, she's gone. Cool. Yes, literally, she loses the ability to speak to the point where she just whimpers. It's very sad, but it's like also like this is silly. Anyway, that is the sound effect of my life and of canon. Anyway, this is directed by Ishihara. It was not the worst series I've ever seen. Now that belongs to Big Order, but no. If you've seen Big Order, you know what I mean. But yes, no. Canon was not the greatest, not the worst. That title is reserved for my number one favorite, and the one that my friends are all despising me secretly, or not so secretly for. Oh wait, that's not. Oh, we get Lucky Star first. Okay, so who's here seen Lucky Star? So, I I have to be upfront with y'all. I thought the Clannad was next, so I set that up all wrong. But I'll own it because Lucky Star is a good series and I genuinely enjoy it, despite that I have never finished it. But it's not because it's bad. It is because, again, my attention span is that of a squirrel. So I have to approach it with a certain, I have to, like, you know, I actually have been planning to go back and rewatch it as well. So, but this was directed by Takamoto for the most part, but also this is the series that introduces a certain character named Yutaka Yamamoto. Anyone familiar with Yamakan? Oh boy, I get to introduce a whole crowd of people to Yamakan. So Yamakan is, I used to think he was just a horrible human being, because here's the thing. Back when the fire happened, there was a tweet that circulated that suggested he was, like, applauding it, and I was like, that's horrible. Why would anyone, like, be like, yeah, go fire? But, like, when I recently went back to look at it, I realized that's not what was happening at all. I guess it was a mistranslation maybe, because he apparently, like, legitimately broke down because his friends were dealing with this. So I'm not going to say he's a horrible human being, but he is definitely a shady human being. Yamamoto, also known as Yamakan, is known for his incendiary behavior. That's what he's known for. In the anime industry, you're known for series. You're known for maybe directing a certain series. You're known for this or that, but this guy is known for his incendiary behavior. He rose to prominence following his work on Munto 2 Beyond the Walls of Time, went on to become a series production director on the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. In fact, Yamakan is the one who choreographed the Hare Hare Yukai dance from Haruhi Suzumiya. So if you're like me and you've been an anime fan since Lucky Star Haruhi, you've probably seen people doing the dance to the Hare Hare Yukai, or doing the dance to the Motake Seilafuku. Either way, not saying, I don't think he choreographed that one, but the point is Hare Hare Yukai was one of the most iconic dances of, like, the late 2000s anime scene, and Yamakan is responsible for choreographing that. I have no idea how to feel about that. He has threatened to quit his anime career 6 times over the years, but as of late 2019, he announced he wanted to crowdfund a dark fantasy anime called Magical Girls, which is apparently inspired by the Kyoto Animation arson attack. So that's a little bit of bad taste, I'm not gonna lie. Apparently he meant it in the best way, but I'm like, at this point, like I said, I'm not really gonna take his word for it. I think that, like, he needs to show that he's, like, not gonna make it into like a Mahou Shoujo site, but for fires. Like, that seems a little bit weird, I guess, to me. But anyway, so basically the idea is that Yamamoto was hired as the director for Lucky Star. After 4 episodes, he was fired, then replaced by Takamoto, who made the series essentially what it was. Yeah. So if you've seen Lucky Star, you know it's basically cute girls doing cute things, like the beginning, the origin story of that kind of show, that trope, and you know what I've seen of it. I think I've seen like half of it, and it's really good. I'm really, like, again, I just cannot. There's only so much of, like, how should I eat this chocolate scone that I can take, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like, it's not that it's bad, it's just like, my brain is like, I wonder what I can do while I'm watching this. But anyway, what's up? I don't even think is there really a plot? It's basically episode to episode, kind of like just different stuff happening in their lives, which is fine. Slice of life is one of my favorite genres. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is like the purest, uncut, 100% Colombian slice of life. Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Because of the fact that this was such a huge part of that scene back then. Like I said, like I didn't start going to cons till 2014, but I've seen videos of, like, just people at cons doing the dance in the middle of crowds, and it's just like, what a time to be alive. You know, you had people up at the top floor screaming the game, and then you had people dressed up like Light and L handcuffed together with a, you know, it's like there's a whole different world of anime cons that like a lot of the younger people do not even know existed, and it's all on YouTube. Just look up like 2007 Anime Con. It's especially if you look up the Sakura Con commercial, by the way, the 2009 Sakura Con commercial. Okay, here. I'm gonna go ahead and say this now. If you get me to 600 subscribers, actually, never mind. That's too low. If you get me to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'm gonna recreate that commercial by myself. So you know, Garuga Mesh. Anyway. So what was that? Wait, what? Okay, so now we're touching on Clannad. Now, you might ask, if it's your favorite anime series, why didn't you show the opening? It's because of the fact that the after story opening is infinitely better, and I am going to show that. So, Clannad, 2007, directed by Tatsuya Ishihara. Fantastic series. Who here's seen Clannad? Now, keep your hand up if you thought it was amazing. Now, everyone who didn't put their hand up, get out. Not really. I love you. Please stay. Anyway. Please no. No. Oni-chan. Anyway, so oh yeah. It's okay, so here's the thing about Clannad. The first series, the first half, I'll say the first half because after story I call that the second half. The first, Clannad itself is not. I've seen people who are like, oh, I've seen it. I didn't cry. Well, okay, I didn't cry either. I just got really depressed. But like, it's one of those things. Everybody reacts differently. You're either gonna cry your eyes out, or you're gonna hate. You contemplate the nature of existence and like hate your life and like, there's no two sides about it. What's up? Oh, yeah, you can. But yeah, so the idea in the first part is, it's not a whole lot of, it's very much a slice of life, but it has plot. And there are moments where it gets sad, but in my opinion, the first half is largely hopeful because of the way that they pace it, right? Then you get to after story, and it just completely goes crazy from there. So I'm gonna have to rewatch Clannad when I get home, aren't I? Clannad after story. Who here watched this one? And raise your hand if you understood it. Okay, if you didn't understand it, go watch my videos on it. I explained it very, very fluently. Here's the thing: I have a trilogy of videos on my channel where I break down the series and like specifically what I believe it means. A lot of people I've heard are like, oh, I didn't like it because I didn't understand it. Well, it's like I can tell you exactly how it makes perfect sense. And honestly, I won't spoil that video, those videos much for you, but I will say that I make the argument that it all exists in the same timeline and there's a multiverse theory going on here. So if you're curious about that, go watch. There's a playlist on my channel called What the Clannad. It is fantastic, in my opinion, because I made it. But whatever. You be the judge of that. So yes. Yes, and I actually, not in the videos. I will say I actually have been meaning to revisit the videos, but since I put out those videos, I have proposed in panels before that the movie is also in the multiverse. Even though it's probably not, I'm gonna make the argument that's the headcanon I'm living with. So, I feel like a fan fiction writer in the late 2000s. Anyway, yeah. So. Yeah, beware the white darkness. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know. Anyway, who here's in K-On? All right, good. I actually just watched this one last year during the whole lockdown thing. I was like, well, I guess there's an anime that I've been putting off for 10 years. Let's watch it. And it was K-On. It's all available on Netflix. And I was like, by the end, I was just about done with life. No. It was great. Now, it was one of those series that, like, it's just, even though it is a music anime, it is primarily a slice of life anime, and they merge the two in the best way, where you're able to kind of like get the catchy songs as well as like the really cute girls doing cute things, eating cake and tea and just procrastinating, actually making music until they have to. It's great. Naoko Yamada directed this one, and Yamada actually is another major player, not in the same way, I will say, as Takamoto, in the sense that thankfully she was able to, she did not lose her life in the fire, but still, regardless, is a major player in future Kyoto Ani works. And so K-On! Received the second season in 2010 as well as a film in 2011. This was Yamada's directorial debut. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the next one is another Yamada work that was created, if I'm not mistaken, using pretty much the exact same staff as K-On! The difference is that it was an original work that the studio came up with on their own. No, never mind. Obviously, I'm just out of the loop with this stuff. I will pick that up in a second. But give me a second, okay? Because I thought the next one was Tamako Market. I'm sorry, y'all. That's the one that's original. Nichijou is yeah, okay. That's Nichijou. Who's seen Nichijou? Okay, so Nichijou sent me down a rabbit hole that I did not know that an anime could. Despite the fact that I have not seen it, it sent me down a rabbit hole nonetheless. Now, I wonder if you're curious, how, Pixcelation, did Nichijou send you down a rabbit hole if you didn't watch it? Well, it's because the opening, I was introduced to the opening, and I was like, I don't know what this anime is, and I'm going to watch it eventually, but I'm more interested in what this opening is because it's really catchy, it's really cute, I dig it. Who sung this? Who here knows who sung this? I get to introduce people to Hayadane. Okay, so Hayadane was Kenichi Matsuya, I forgot his name. Kenichi Maeda. I think that's his name. I'll just call him Hayadane though, because that's his stage name. He was an internet Nico singer who, got discovered on Nico. I'm sorry, my glasses are terrible. My vision sucks, and I cannot stop fidgeting with them. But no, Hayadane is one of the only musical artists that I have ever known who can convincingly morph his voice to do a duet with himself. Yeah. That song is entirely him. It is him and him alone. There is no female singer. It is him. And it is one of those things where, like, if you watch the video, he gets I believe a famous actress at the time. I'm not sure if it's an actress or a singer, but he hires someone to play the female version of him in the music videos. But it's him. he tuned his voice up, and it's like normally you would think like that doesn't sound convincing. It's like no, it's convincing. I did not know that it was him until I did like an insane amount of research, and it was like. Really? So I was like, that is kind of interesting to me. But Nichijou was directed by Tatsuya Ishihara. Again, he's he's a major player in the grand scheme of things. This was in 2011, so we have already crossed over the threshold into the 2010s. If you notice starting with K-On!, I believe that we are entering the realm of when Kyoto Ani started mainly kind of adapting light novels because of the Kei Asuma Bunko label, I don't believe they've done a whole lot of like game adaptations or anything like that ever since they created this label. Mostly it's got a lot to do with Nichijou is a manga, I believe, but the overwhelming majority of their anime are light novel based. So next up we got Hyoka. Who here seen Hyoka? Which apparently is translated to ice cream. It's called ice cream. If you like ice cream, I like ice cream. Do you mean the anime or the treat? Oh yeah, the anime. And also the treat. But yes, this is directed by Takamoto. Another one I have not seen, so I have no comments. Is it good? Okay, good. I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna watch it like now. Like in my head, I'm gonna be like watching it while I'm presenting. Next up, I gotta rewatch this one, man. I just got a whole bunch of good feels. That opening is so cool to me, and it's just because of the whole dichotomy of like the left and right sides of the concert. You know, like the whole eye patch thing. It's too much to explain here. But anyway, now who here's seen this one? Okay, great. I'm so happy because like I didn't never see the movie, but like I watched both seasons in like the course of 2 days, and it was fantastic. Essentially, if you're not familiar with this one, you have Rika, who is a full-on degenerate Chunibyo, and then there's the actual main character Yuta, who was a Chunibyo, and they kind of come together and they interact with each other to the point where you have to kind of like. I think the point of the series, in my opinion anyway, was more like it doesn't matter kind of what you've been through. You can still find friendship, you can find affection, you can find romance. It's just a matter of figuring out what that means to you. It's the world doesn't get to the world does not get to dictate how you live your life, basically, and that's kind of, I think that was the general point, and that was a really good message I think they were sending out, is the idea that you literally can do whatever you want, and you still are deserving of your own life, I suppose.
I will say the anime has the best club of any school ever, the napping.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. I genuinely enjoyed that one. And I need to go rewatch it because like I keep seeing the movie on my like queue on Verve, and I'm like, one of these days. It's kind of like which I think we'll talk about in a second. Kind of like Beyond the Boundary. I was like, I never watched a movie of that, and I watched the series, and I was like, but it's been 10 years since I watched the series, so I was like, wow, it's been almost 10 years since I watched the series. I am old. Anyway.
It's the way better version of this.
Wait, what's the way better version of what?
Beyond the Boundary. Because the things are real.
Yikes. Big yikes, Chandler. No, I know this guy. I can rag on him. Big yikes. Anyway, yes.
You gotta explain what Chunibyo is, man.
Oh yeah. So okay, if you don't know what Chunibyo is, it's essentially translates to like middle schooler syndrome, like eighth grade syndrome, or whatever. The idea that you have delusions of grandeur. You kind of go around like, haha, they don't know that I'm a minor internet celebrity. Like and it's like kind of going around in your head thinking you have like superpowers, or like there's a curse hidden in your left hand or right hand that if it's let out, the world will be consumed. Things like that. Essentially, the grown-up. Who's here seen Invader Zim? Oh, really? Nobody's seen. Hardly anybody's seen Invader. The professor in Invader Zim. That's basically how they act, but they're younger, essentially. Like the whole yes, Anyway, but yes, this received the second season in 2012, as well as a pair of films in 2013 and 2018, respectively. The 2013 film was the Rika version. I believe it was just the season one that was told from Rika's perspective, and then 2018 was a sequel movie. So I believe they're all available on Verve. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. Now here is what I was meaning to talk about. Who here seen Tamako Market? Okay, good. Because Tamako Market, okay, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I watched the entirety of this while I was working out, because lately I found that I watch anime while I work out for some reason, and it helps me forget the pain. But anyway, it actually doesn't. It makes me just more cognizant of it, but whatever. We're not going to get to that. But anyway, so this was put out in 2013. This was, if I'm not mistaken, again, this is also directed by Yamada. This was a work that was created using the staff of K-On!, but it was just original instead of adapted. And I don't know this for a fact, but I like to believe that it was kind of like, hey, y'all did a good job with K-On!, so we're just gonna let y'all have the reins and like let y'all make something original. And they made something really good. I really enjoyed it. It's just a how would I describe it? Basically, at its core, it is it's a rom-com slice of life set in a shopping arcade. Essentially, Tamako is the daughter of the owners of a mochi shop, and one day there's this talking bird that gets introduced into their lives, and the bird is an emissary, a messenger from a foreign country, essentially, that has sent the bird to find the future queen of their island, essentially. And so for the longest time, it's like, well, who's the future queen? And they're like, well, I guess we're gonna find that out. And it just goes from there, and it's just like the daily lives of the owners of the shops in the market. And I just really enjoyed it. It got a movie in 2014, Topical Love Story. I have not watched that one yet because movies are hard to find time to watch. I only just recently watched John Wick, and I know. I'm late. I get it. But it's if I die afterwards, all of the nudes are being sent. That's all I'll say. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Now you're cheering the nudes. Who here seen Free? All right. So, this has been a remarkable moneymaker for KyoAni because, like, it has received 2 additional seasons in 2014, 2018, as well as six films in 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2021. What's up? Oh, is there another one? Dear Lord Almighty. All right. I guess. This is directed by Hiroko Utsumi, who, okay, so this is gonna be this is a fun fact. This is what I said earlier, that there are things that I've learned in this panel that I'm very, very impressed with. Hiroko Utsumi, who here knows what else they've directed? Anybody? The name doesn't come up. More recently, they do not work with KyoAni anymore. They work more with MAPPA. Who here knows MAPPA? Okay. They directed, I'm pretty sure they directed Banana Fish and Skate the Infinity. So, if you watched either of those and you're like, that looks kind of familiar, there's a point to it. And so, it's one of those things where, you get the kind of the information, the knowledge that, like, you might not have had otherwise. So, there you go. Next up, we've got Beyond the Boundary, which I felt like it was like, okay, so I'll be real with you. I watched this again, like it's 2013. I think I watched it right when it aired. So yeah, 8 years ago. Time stop, please. This was directed by Taiichi Ishidate. This was a series that, if I remember correctly, the way that I felt about it was I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was trying to basically compress the entirety of Bleach into 12 episodes. I feel like this is a series that needed more time to develop the characters, to develop the whole supernatural element of it. I feel like they rushed a lot of it. That's why I cannot agree with Chandler when he says it's the better version of Chunibyo, because I'm like, Chunibyo told its story and was satisfying in the time it had, whereas Beyond the Boundary was not. It was good, it was just not satisfying. I needed more. And yes, maybe the movie serves that purpose. I can't tell you because I haven't seen the movie yet. But, I just feel like another hour and a half, is it really, basically another 3 episodes, is it really going to make much of a difference? I cannot tell you. But, that being said, maybe I could just have all the hot takes, yes.
I like how you say there's not enough time, but they spent an entire episode just doing like an idol, like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, that's on brand. It is definitely on brand for them. It's one of those things where I'm like, it's kind of reminds me of another series that it was not KyoAni, but who here has seen Origami? Okay, so I it's another one that I left unfinished because for some reason I watched season 1 and I was like, I'm just not gonna watch season 2. I'm gonna be a rebel, and so that's another one that reminded me of that in the sense that I felt like there needed to be more kind of like a backstory explanation of like what was really going on in the background for me to connect to the characters. I enjoyed the character designs. I enjoyed the music. The opening and ending, I believe, were both really good. And the series was fine overall. It's just one of those things I walked away from it like, okay, well, that's a thing that happened. Cool. It received 2 additional films, as I said, in 2015, one which summarized the events of the series and then one which continued them. It could be one of those situations like Code Geass where I've heard that like the movies basically tell another canon, and maybe the summary movie, I don't know if anybody's seen that, but maybe the summer movie fixes the problems I had with the series. I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so first things first, who here's seen Amagi Brilliant Park? Okay. You may notice that the mascot character was reused from Fumafu. I like to call this series not Amagi Brilliant Park, but rather the Adventures of Kanye West, 50 Cent, and Ice Cube and Queen Latifah in an amusement park, because that's literally what it is. The characters are named after Kanye West, 50 Cent, Queen Latifah, and Ice Cube. They are literally called that. Seiya Kanye. Sorry, Seiya Kanye. Seiya's West. It's Kanye West. I cannot cope with this. But yeah, no, it was really good. I really enjoyed this one. I think that like it needs more because it kind of left off on a somewhat cliffhanger. I feel like maybe I should just read the novels, because you know that's the lesson I'm taking from anime, is that like just read the manga, read the novels. But again, squirrel brain. Anyway, but yes, no, Amagi Brilliant Park was great. I think that it was just one of those things where I was kind of left on a like, is there really no more? Yes.
Yes, a couple of years back, I was going to this comic shop called Heroes of Fantasy. A few places down there, this place that would sell drinks, like with I don't know what it is, like a smooth with a tapioca ball.
Boba? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, every Saturday they would show like the first episode of whether it's popular or unpopular. Most of these animes you've never heard of.
Right.
This was one of the episodes I saw, and like basically they would just have it subbed, and then I'm just like they would intentionally not tell you the title. They'll tell them, like, I saw the first episode, like, huh, what is this anime? I'm like, and now I know.
Well, so how long ago was that?
Maybe 2016, around there.
Okay, so several. Yeah, that makes sense. There are sometimes especially in my life. I know. Me and Chandler were talking about this a little bit ago. The fact that sometimes we'll have an anime series where we like see like an episode or a clip, and it becomes like a fever dream to us. Like with Fully Cooley, that's what he was saying. Fully Cooley kind of felt like a fever dream to him, and like I get it.
I thought I felt literally sick.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fever dream.
Right. And for me, it was Android Kikaider, because like I watched like the first episode back when I was like 10, and I just never saw it ever again. And I was like, and like a couple years ago, I looked it up. I was like, this actually existed. I need to go back and watch this. Yes.
From 7 to 9, because they close at 9. They will show four first episodes of any anime you ever heard of. So this was one of them, and then the other one I saw was the first episode of something called Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that's Bones. Yeah, that was a good one too. Honestly, here's that's actually a good segue for me to mention this, is that if you like these kinds of panels, I want to do more of them. Right now I have 3. I do not here. I did 2 here, but like normally I have 3 in circulation. I have one on KyoAni, one on Studio Shaft, which is tonight, and then I have one on Gainax, Trigger, and Kara. Now I want to add a 4th to that. Now I just don't know which studio would be the most. JC, that's what I was thinking. Either JC Staff or I have one on the schedule that I was thinking about doing. Would be Mappa. I think I was going to try to look into Mappa. But if you have suggestions for the next studio that I talk about, DM me on Twitter. They are open. Do not abuse that, please. DM me on Twitter with the studio that you would like, and I will pick one. And maybe at IkiCon this year or San Japan next year, I'll bring the one that you suggested. So keep that in mind for future. Also, regarding numbers, I just checked. I have 40 subs left. So if you were looking to sub, now's your chance. I am almost to that point where I can say I hit my goal on Saturday instead of Sunday. So just, FYI there, Anyway. Sound Euphonium. You might be wondering, why didn't you show the opening of this one? It's a music anime. It's like, well, yeah, you're right, it is, but we only have 23 minutes left. I have to get through the rest of the KyoAni compendium. This was directed by Tatsuya Ishihara. It has received a second season in 2016, as well as 4 films in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And that includes spin-offs as well as sequels and recaps. What's up? I'm sorry? Sorry. Oh, they did? Oh, yeah, definitely. This is one of those ones where they tried to recapture the fire of K-On!, I think, and they went above and beyond in that regard because of the fact that this one got more content, I think, than K-On! Did. But then we've got Myriad Killer Phantomworld. Anyone seen this one? Okay, so this was also directed by Ishihara. Seems like he's like the only director they have at this point. But this is back in 2016, and okay, so this is one of those ones. Okay, I don't know if I'm the only one here, but occasionally I will go on YouTube and I'll look up like top openings of whatever season, and that's kind of how that was. It used to be. I haven't done it in a while, but that used to be how I would determine what I was going to watch, because I was like, oh, that looks interesting. That looks interesting, you know, and. I would see this opening in like in the compilation of openings from 2016, and I was like, that looks interesting. The opening looks interesting, but I just never sat down and watched it. But that at this point, y'all been listening to me for an hour and 14 minutes. It probably doesn't surprise you at all, considering you might be wondering at this point, does this guy even watch anime? And the question is, I don't even know. Where is Scott? I have not met you in person yet, so I did not know what you look like. Just send me Nicolas Cage bunny images to my DMs. I told you not to abuse this shit. I am done with you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, so no, but Silent Voice, okay? Who here's seen this one? Good. It is fantastic. I have such a hard time rewatching it. I will not go into my sob story, but know that I was supposed to watch this with my late grandma who passed, right, recently in the last 2 years. And I watched it by myself the first time, right? And I was like, she was not a huge anime fan, right? She was just one of those people who was like, I'm gonna watch it because you like it, and I want to just see what it's all about, right? I showed her Your Name. She loved it. And then I was like, literally the weekend I was supposed to, we were like, okay, we are gonna sit down and we're gonna watch A Silent Voice, because it was like the only other movie that I was willing to show her, because I did not want her to have a heart attack of watching, High School DxD. And that was the weekend she passed. And it was one of those things where it's like, ever since I've kind of had this like weird thing, I don't really want to rewatch it, but like I know I want to, but it's like, it kind of brings back the weird memories, I guess. I said I wasn't going to go into my sob story, and I did anyway. Whatever, sue me. Anyway, this was directed by Naoki Yamada, also the person who did K-On! Tamako Market. And so, it's one of those things I really appreciate, that this is the first really example of, like, truly cinematic quality from K-On! KyoAni, sorry. And I feel like with Silent Voice, you really you have this really beautiful work of art that is going to continue into the future of the studio. And that is when we move on. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Ravioli, ravioli. Thank you for not leaving me hanging on that one. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid 2017, directed by Takamoto. And, of course, as you might be aware, Season 2 is airing currently. And so far, it seems pretty good. It is, again, it did receive second season 21-21. But Ishihara is like I said earlier, took over for Takamoto after the fire. And he is actually, Takamoto is credited posthumously as the co-director of the series as a way of honoring him, which I think is like, when I saw that, I was like, my heart. I literally had chills, and I was like, this is like, I think, in my opinion, I think that is one of the best ways to honor someone who has passed, is to like just put them on, like, especially in the case of anime industry, put their name on the work that they would have done had they not had their lives not been taken, you know. And I feel like that's one of the best ways for the studio to honor him, and I really appreciated that. Especially where I don't know if you all have seen like the opening of season 2, where they decided to put his name was one of the most beautiful shots in the opening, and it was all intentional. It was fantastic, so I really appreciate that. Questions on Kobayashi? It seems like yes.
Okay, I haven't seen anime, but there's something interesting. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh theme deck, and a lot of some of the dragon monsters, like this, it's like something out of Dragon Age. Just
It's called Dragon Age.
Wait,
there is a
Actually,
is it an actual Yu-Gi-Oh deck or is it
and the creator of Dragon Age approved it.
really? Huh. Oh, that's a good segue to what I was gonna mention this. If you've seen Kobayashi, you may be interested to know that the creator of the manga, Kokyo Shinja, I believe his name is, or their name is, also did a little piece of art that I like to call I Don't Understand What My Husband Is Saying. If anybody's seen that one, it's not by KyoAni, but I was really curious. I was like, wow, really? Like that's one of the things where the creators are shared, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. Yes.
Just feel that you guys ever. I don't recommend buying the deck. It's $500.
Yikes. What I could do with that, like a lot. Anyway, and this is where I lose every single one of you. I didn't much care for this. Now, let me explain my bad take, okay, please? After you watch Clannad, nothing makes you sad anymore, okay? So my sensibilities have been shot. So anytime an anime is like, hey, here's a neon sign that says cry, I'm like, no. So I hope that explains a little bit, because this series was basically a neon sign that said cry, and I was like, I stand in the face of that sign and I say no. Directed by Taichi Ishidate. Again, it seems like they gave everything to them now. But this did receive a spin-off film in 2019 and a continuation in 2020. I watched this back when it was first put on Netflix. I have been meaning to actually give it another watch, because I feel like maybe I was in a different stage of my life when I watched it. Maybe I wasn't as affected as I might be now. So I do want to give it another watch, because maybe I'll feel differently. If I do, then, I might tweet about it, because I like to shitpost every day of my life.
The movie wraps it up really well.
I hope so, and if that's the case, then maybe I'll like it more, because
It's really
one of my biggest complaints about it was honestly just that it felt like nothing happened. It was one of those things where it felt more like a...
it gives it, for once, an anime has a real ending.
Okay, so I'm definitely gonna give it another watch then, because I want to like it. It was just one of those things where I was like, kind of wrapping it up. I was like, huh, all right. I mean, it was pretty, but oh, okay, cool. Anyway,
Sam, that plot and voice acting aside, the artwork, particularly in the movie, is really good.
oh yeah, well, like I said,
You haven't seen the movie yet.
yeah, I haven't seen the movie yet, but the series itself, like that's what.
Attention to the artwork.
Oh yeah. Like that's the one thing that I really wanted to emphasize is like I said earlier, that like with a silent voice, you see the KyoAni style is starting to mold, where even TV series like Violet Evergarden are getting that cinematic level quality, and I'm really here for it. It's just one of the. That's why I said I really want to like it. It's just because it looks really good.
The show was created to show off the artwork, not the story.
Right, exactly. Even though it was based on a light novel, but yeah.
It is a little confusing, because it took me a minute. The 2019 movie
Yeah.
is like a special.
Okay.
I said the actual movie is like, it's her story.
Okay.
The movie wraps up with her.
So you probably need to watch it all though to.
The special ancillary, the movie connects to one of the original episodes.
Okay.
So that it's her story.
Okay, gotcha.
The movie stands alone.
Okay, cool. That
I
works.
mean, it's got like the mom and her kid, the letters. It's got that plot line wrapped up in the middle of it, but it's better.
Right. Okay, cool. So moving on to the last title that we're going to talk about today is Cerune, directed by Takuya Yamamoto, or Yamamura. Sorry, I cannot speak. It is an archery anime. If you are a fan of archery practicing, or if you just like the way it looks, then check this one out. This is the most recent series, other than the the Twilight Evergarden movie that they put out and Kobayashi season 2. Apparently, a Cerune film is on the docket, but no release date or staff has been announced yet, so keep an eye out for that. But now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is that in 2019 there was the Kyoto Animation arson attack. Who here is familiar with that event? Unfortunately, yes, I would hope so. It was a very horrible, horrific tragedy that should never have happened. But and honestly, I remember exactly where I was when I heard it happened, because I was actually making this panel when it happened, which was kind of interesting and ironic to me, was that I was preparing to do a panel on Kyoto Animation that weekend, and then literally it was like, I think it was I don't know what day of the week it was, but it was like, I want to say it was midweek. I was making the panel in preparation for OkashiCon, and I was like, oh, I should probably mention this in my panel. I don't want to mention it because I don't want it to happen, but it's, I'm talking about history of KyoAni. It'd be a little weird if I didn't mention that this happened, right? So, anyway, on July 18, 2019, an arson attack occurred at Kyoto Animation Studio 1 in Fushimi Ward. It killed at least 36 people, injured an additional 33, and destroyed most of the materials and computers in Studio 1. It has been named one of the deadliest massacres in Japan since the end of World War II. I wanted to highlight the victims. I feel like not all of them were directors. There was key animators in there. There were storyboardists, I'm sure. I don't know exactly all of their titles, but they all deserve recognition because they all, they were people. Regardless of the fact whether they worked on your favorite show or whatever, they were all people, and they deserve recognition, in my opinion. You may notice Yoshiji Kigami, who also did Munto, is in there, as well as Takamoto is also one of the people who lost their life. And I believe those are the only two directors. But again, everybody who was involved in this is deserving of recognition. I want to highlight, in the depths of tragedy, you have a global effort was seen in support of KyoAni. National Diet in Japan passed a measure to allow donations to the studio to be tax exempt. Animate, a Japanese anime, video games, and manga retailer, raised over 330 million yen, a little over $3 million by September 1st. A GoFundMe was launched by Sentai Filmworks, who licensed a lot of their works with a target goal of 750,000, but received 2.3 million by the end. And so it's one of those things where, it has been several years, and KyoAni has bounced back. I would say, very severely by that. Like I mentioned yesterday when I talked about Kobayashi S, was that when they released that first episode and they showed the opening. Again, I mentioned second time I mentioned John Wick here. I imagine KyoAni in that. In the chair, I have people asking me if I'm back. Yeah, I think I'm back. Basically they came back with like a fiery force with that's not the right word. I shouldn't use the word fire either. But the point is they came back with a force that was to be reckoned with by putting out that not only that opening, but just a solid first couple of episodes of Kobayashi season 2. And I'm just really happy that it seems like they are slowly but surely getting back on track and moving towards the future. Any questions about that? Okay, so I do want to talk about the future because there are certain titles that they have announced that are supposedly coming. Whether or not they will or not, we will have to see. But thankfully, the 2020s have been a little brighter for the studio. What does the future hold? An adaptation of the Hiroyuki light novel 20th Century Electricity Catalog has been announced, but the attack seems to have been made its current status unknown ever since. It's kind of been a TBA thing. Nothing else has been announced as of late, however, aside from the Cerune film, which has neither a staff nor a release date. But so if you see in the near future, in the near couple of years, if you see an anime called 20th Century Electricity Catalog, you can remember, hey, I heard about that in that panel. So there we go. That's all we've got today. We're going to do drawings. While we do the drawings, please follow me on whatever you use. If you did not get a ticket, please raise your hand. Wow, we still have a lot. Thank you, Chandler. Okay, so we have shirts. We have a small